Hello Internet, this is Fabio from Viral Storytelling, and as promised I'm going to start reading Julia Dream. So here we go. Chapter 1, Section 1. The clouds were rolling, distant and undisturbed, and the veiled sky reflected in her gaze, metallic and grey as a stormy sea. Moisture stagnated in the air, drawn by a wind that seemingly cut off all chances of rain. Julia's eyes followed the greyness of the sky and its blinding glare on the marble columns of the ministry, worn and polished by time. The building was very old, surely older than the first cataclysm. After all, Cleo often observed that the European shield had revealed itself one of the strongest. She tensed the muscles of her back, trying to remove the uniform clinging to her shoulder blades, sticky with sweat. It had been a calm day, without duels, but the heat and the low grey sky were overwhelming. "Nice welcome our capital is giving the Emperor," she whispered to herself. The capital and the itinerant court were transferring that very day to Province I, Julia's province. That was one of the reasons why the day had been so calm. Most of the soldiers and generals usually buzzing around the ministry, seeking more weapons and resources for their regiments, were now attending a solemn parade in front of the Emperor of the Earth, who was returning from a long institutional trip in distant galaxies. The identification badge woven in the right sleeve of her uniform suit shivered slightly, distracting Julia from her thoughts and reporting the end of her shift. Many employees had been granted a 2-hour leave to allow them to attend the ending of the welcoming parade and the official entry of the Emperor in the palace. She returned to the main body of the ministry to recover her dinner, her salary. 2 liters of purified H2O, a white pill for sugars, a red one for protein, and a green capsule for vitamins. A full meal. The water was good, courtesy of the Cornell family, the best synthesized water of the Empire, if you listen to the gossip of the soldiers. Julia moved with methodical gestures. She carefully placed the pill in a small transparent box, inserting it in one of the diagonal pockets of her coat, just below her breast, quickly closing the silvery zipper. She then drank a sip from the bottle of water, placing it on the tripod that furnished her small compartment in the ministry, and immediately screwing the cap back on with care. Then she fastened the scabbard of her service sword in a resting position from her side to her shoulders, finally picking up the bottle and leaving her small room, covering the stairs and corridors of the ministry with long, quick strides. Her pace gave away a restlessness and an agitation that were perhaps due to an unusual surplus of energies. For the first time in 2 years, she was ending her shift after less than 12 hours of work. She walked without rushing along the pedestrian scaffoldings of the city, always heading uphill. There was little traffic, and she gradually found herself going against the tide, since many people were climbing down to watch the parade in the Maximum Square. As for her, she was counting on a view from above. The last escalator ran close to the tall walls of the villas of the nobility, for once probably empty. The chemical aristocracy of the city stood at the right of the Emperor in his triumph. The science of the noble families fed and sheltered the citizens of the Empire, and the Empire recognized and honored this power. From the highest scaffolding, Julia finally turned her back to the villas, despite the fascination she felt for them, to look down on the city, dominated in the distance by the dome of the palace, and brushed in that moment by the last rays of a crimson sunset. The distant flags of the parade seemed to absorb the color, engulfed in the dusty atmosphere of the day's end. She could not distinguish clearly the crest of the imperial black moon, but it was there, as it was everywhere. It lasted a couple of minutes, then evening crept in. The lights of the buildings turned on in unison, while in the square the procession towards the palace began with the sparkle of torches. Deciding she had seen enough, Julia took the flight of escalators towards her condominium.